Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. Basically, today we are going to talk about the formula part, that is basically for 84th number part. And here, basically, we are going to discuss a little bit more about the formula. So, in previously 83 number, basically, we have talked about the services which basically each and every country gives. That if you want to take, if you want to achieve these services, then basically you can only able to achieve from the services from that country basically. If you want to take the software basically and that should be run perfectly, then basically you have to take the services from Microsoft, sorry, from US only basically. If you want the power supply chain basically from the for the software industry, then basically you have to take the power supply from the India only basically. That is basically that nuclear company, that nuclear power plant company basically. Then basically, if you want the few rocket basically, if you have to launch few rockets basically, then basically for that basically certain environments are has to be created at the certain level basically up to what level you want to launch the rocket. Then basically you have to take the services from that country. Like this basically there are many services which is provided by the many countries. For example, Bollywood group. Bollywood group basically which type of services they give. That basically everybody knows. So Bollywood says that we are doing the advertising. So for example, there is one big rich person basically who basically says that my each and every second is very costly basically. So whatever basically the disease he gets basically, so that should be clear very fast basically. So each and everything basically whatever he gets the disease that should be clearly that should be get treated very fastly basically we can say. So for that basically Bollywood services he activated the Bollywood services, and Bollywood services is where keeping each and everything basically, each and every track basically. For example, whatever things he was eating, and whatever things he was eating after 2 to 3 days basically he was going to get the supply of the oxygen basically of the things basically which he was eating. Like this basically each and everything was basically tracked by the Bollywood, and like this basically each and everything was tracked also. Like this whatever things basically he was eating, so that basically was tracked. So like this basically what are things basically he was eating, that was tracked by the group basically, because he has activated the services. So like this basically after 3 days basically he was getting the oxygen power supply according to that fruits, according to the foods basically which he has eaten basically. So like this, basically, he has activated the services. According to that, basically, he was getting the treatment also. For example, whatever disease basically he was getting, according to that, basically, his treatment was getting very fast because each and everything basically he was eating, whatever the oxygen supply he was getting, that each and everything was getting tracked by the Bollywood group. So like this basically whatever things basically he has eaten, whatever the activities he has done, each and everything was basically tracked. So whatever the disease he got, according to which symptoms basically he got the disease, each and everything was basically tracked. So whenever he was going to the hospital, that time basically his treatment was getting very fast basically because each and everything was basically get tracked basically because he have the money, so he activated the service. So like this basically here basically I had talked about the Hollywood service who are doing up to that this level the services basically, like this basically there are many countries basically who gives the services, uh, many states basically gives certain services basically. Like this basically we are talking here about the services which is given by the set of groups, set of countries, set of cities, and set of states basically. So within India basically, if they want to activate some certain services, then basically that city only can able to do that services. So for that basically you have to take the you have to do the contact to that particular city's MLA or that state's chief minister basically. Then only basically your services is going to activate because that services within the country that city only gives. So to activate that services basically you have to take the permission from the central and from the states basically. Like this basically there are many things basically which has to activate, and activation happens also. but you have to pay the subscription amount. And basically, I have taken about one example of the World Bank. Basically, World Bank says that we are ready to give the subscription. You just need to pay the money, certain amounts. So you can pay the certain services. So on the basis of certain services and certain amounts, basically, we are activating your subscription, whatever subscription you want. So for that, basically, you are paying certain services and certain monies, basically. So on the basis of that, only you are getting the subscription, and on the basis of that, basically, cities are stable. Basically, you can see. So just see basically up to the level, basically each and every countries have kept the control, basically. Each and every country says that if you want to do this, then you have to take the services from this country. So basically, each and every countries basically keeps their value. Each and every country says that we are keeping our values, we are doing the certain services, we are giving the certain services, that is basically displayed. For example, this is like that basically. For example, Sunil Arnair was searching the job, and he submitted his biodata in many portals basically. If anybody wants, then basically they contact them. Then they contact to Sunil Nair. If anybody don't require Sunil Nair, then basically they don't want to contact. They are not going to contact that person, basically, that is basically Sunil Nair, because they don't need basically that Sunil Nair. We don't need. Like this, basically, if they need, then basically they will be contacting. Like this same way, basically, the each and every country basically submits their submit their biodata to certain place, basically. That basically we can give one name, basically, that is World Bank. So in front of World Bank, basically they submit their biodata. That for example, India biodata, up to what level India can give the services. They can provide the resources, they can provide the manpowers, they can provide this type of skills, basically designing skills, they can provide the Bollywood skills, basically. They can provide the IITs, IIM skills, basically, because up to the level, basically, the certain things are done, basically. They can provide the R&D people, basically. They can provide power supply services. So like this, basically, each and every things are written in the India resume, basically, India country resume. That India country can do this all the thing in front of World Bank, basically. And instead of that, basically, India told that we will be charging this many amount, or basically we will be we need them certain. If basically country can't give the money, then basically we have to get certain things basically to be done by the countries, like this. The World Bank do the certain terms and conditions, and basically each and every countries basically submits their biodata in front of World Bank. So here basically I have just taken as a World Bank. In real, basically it can be anything, anyone, anybody, basically. It can be some financial consultant, it can be some agent, it can be some consultant, it can be some country also, it can be any basically groups also, which basically are into this business only, and they are up to the professional people, professional groups, basically. Whatever they do professionally, they do. Like this, basically each and everything basically are displayed in front of the kind of world. And like this, here basically I have taken the example of World Bank, basically. So World Bank says that we have the set of resumes of each and every countries, and whatever the services they are going to provide, and according to that services which they are going to provide, they are taking some subscription money and some certain service on the base of, instead of it, they don't want money. Then basically they tells that we will be going to, we want basically these services, basically, from the other country, basically. Like this, basically each and every country's resume is displayed in front of the World Bank, and the World Bank says that we are selling the we are going to take some certain number of amount, basically, instead of giving this, instead of basically translating the transferring the services, basically, and instead of providing the services, that also you can say that, for example, one service is basically is required by the another country from the India, then basically World Bank will say tell this requirements to the India, basically, that they are this country wants your require this country wants this requirement. So you can, then they are telling that this money amount they can give. So are you agree for this? Like this, basically they agree this, and the India basically country gives the services basically. Like this basically generally things are connected with each other. The services are getting connected. The each and every points are getting connected with each other. Like this basically you can say each and every things are connected with each other. That also you can say. So here basically we are talking about the countries who are giving the services. If you want this service, then only this country can do. That's all. That basically this is displayed in front of the World Bank. Here I am again repeating. It's I have taken just word as a World Bank. It can be anyone. So like this basically each and every country submits their services and the set of tasks they can do. Same as basically Sunil Nair has submitted his biodata in many job portals, and whatever basically the company basically required someone, any project manager, any software delivery head, any type of basically managerial level work basically, then basically he can do basically. So this is same way basically the countries, India country says that we are providing this. For example, India country says that we have 18 to 17 to 18 services which we can provide to the many any countries. We just need this money subscription money basically. So World Bank is telling that if anybody wants your services, then basically we are going to tell you. So if you agree, then basically you can activate the services whatever. So basically in front of world basically we are basically. So we are taking certain money basically on the base of the services which India is going to give basically. So like this is basically the 84 the number part, and in 85th basically we are going to discuss little bit more about the what is formula, what is sales. This basically which I have told that is basically sales only basically you can say sales of the countries basically sales of the services basically which countries telling that we have these services, we have created these services, we have done hard work of for the to create these services, and we are ready to sell the services in front of world basically. So like this basically this also you can say this is a sales basically, and this is also you can say it's a education level. This also you can say it's a formula. This also you can say it's attributes, because each and everything basically whoever is going to use the software basically that by default basically is going to add into the formula, and formula is basically a set of attributes, and set of attribute is equal to set of balance sheet. And this basically system world does not have. The project management plan industry, the SDLC industry, they don't have this system basically. That is basically attribute equals to balance sheet, and balance sheet contains the each and every sector's information. That balance sheet basically the PMP project management plan group, the SDLC group who created this SDLC entire SDLC department basically, they don't have this balance sheet. So basically that means basically they don't have this balance sheet basically. In 85th basically part we are going to see little bit more about the formula word, education, sales, and then basically software services, each and everything in 85th number part.